I'm Dennis Spaeth, owner, publisher of Cutting Tool Engineering. We started Bourbon with the editor, talk about manufacturing, specifically metal cutting. And today we have with us our guest from Ceratizit is Dan Cope, President of the Americas, a new title, relatively new over the last few months. And we'll get into his background, but wanted to just mention to everyone that today we're drinking Angel's Envy, which is a bourbon out of Kentucky. Well, most of them are.
Cheers.
Almost all of them are. Cheers. And before we do anything, I've got a little bit of background here out of Louisville, Kentucky. Angel's Envy was founded by the Bourbon Hall of Fame member and master distiller, a guy by the name of Lincoln Henderson, and his son, Wes Henderson. They started Angel's Envy with a different approach, something called a secondary finishing, and they kind of came up with a whole different taste. The way it got its name is the most interesting part of this story. I just want everyone to know about it. It says, during the aging process, the 5% of spirit lost each year is known as the angel's share. And a lot of people know, drinking bourbon, they know all about that. After tasting our finished whiskey, Lincoln Henderson joked that we had finally struck a better deal than the angels. And so Angel's Envy was born. So that's how we got get its name. By the way, in the background, we have Alan Richter. You can't see him right now off camera, but he is here as our editor at large. My brother Ken as a CFO. So what I'd like to do is move over to Dan. Dan, I want to just make sure we talk about your promotion, but let's get a little bit more about your background. 30 plus years in the industry. Give us a little bit of background about that.
Yeah, sure. 30 years this month. August of 1994, I graduated college at Western Carolina University with an industrial distribution degree. And I started with Dixie Industrial the day that I left college.
Wow.
Dixie is now known as Valen. So I was basically a gopher of doing all things. Came out of college just packing stuff in the warehouse, shipping things, customer service, you name it from that standpoint. But I quickly moved into a role of an outside salesperson in the mid 90s, and then went into coolant. Castrol coolant is what we sold at the time. And then my dad was Sam McCormick. So he was always in the business from a cutting tool perspective. I didn't want to follow in his footsteps because they were pretty big shoes, but I decided that I was going to go down the coolant side of the business. And about 2 years after that, Sam McCormick came to me and said, we would like for you guys to come work for us in the Greenville, South Carolina market. And so that was in 2000. I started there. I spent 20 plus years there, all variances of roles and responsibilities, whether it was a salesperson, marketing. I was a productivity team leader for a number of years, but my last position was director of sales for the Southeast. So I had 60 some odd people with $50 million of responsibility. And then at some point, Ceratizit came knocking, and I decided to come to Ceratizit 5 years ago as the executive vice president, and then, as you said, recently became the president of the Americas. So it's been a long ride, but it's been fun, and I don't think I would change much at all my role or my journey to get to this point.
And how long have you been with Ceratizit now?
5.5 years.
5.5,
yeah.
And mostly covering the U.S. market.
Yeah, up until 2 months ago, I was predominantly U.S. and only the cutting tool side of the business. And as of now, I have basically the North and South America and 11 countries and 5 business units. So quite a bit of responsibility.
You cover Canada, Mexico, U.S. obviously. What am I? Oh, Brazil.
Brazil, yep. All South America. I've got Argentina, Chile, Paraguay, you name it. I've got it. So North and South America is the total responsibility. Now we have business in Brazil, mainly in the main areas of cutting tools down there, but we also have the other divisions, hard machining, our wear parts division. We have in rods and preforms and those type things as well. but my background has always been in the cutting tool side.
Let me take a drink. I gotta wet the whistle. The previous 5.5 years with Ceratizit,
Sure.
you started this sustainable growth plan. What I'd like to do is talk about that, and later on I want to talk about owning your supply chain a little bit. But
Yeah.
can you talk about building a sustainable growth plan, and what did it mean exactly?
Yeah, when I came on board, we had just purchased KOMET in 2017.
Okay.
So there was two basic divisions of cutting tools, and if a customer wanted to buy a KOMET product and a Ceratizit product, they gave us two POs. They had two systems that we used to be able to enter orders, two manufacturing places. There was basically two separate entities that needed to be merged.
Yeah.
At the time that I came on board, the boss that I had at the time said, "Don't mess anything up, just enhance it, all this kind of stuff." And about 3 months later, he said, "Do whatever you want to. It's messed up. You got to get it fixed." So I've spent the last 5 years building, the infrastructure, going into one face, one Ceratizit type of mentality where a customer or a channel can come in and do business with one type of PO, one remit to, one point of contact as it related to the interaction with Ceratizit. We were very, very little known in the U.S. KOMET was much bigger brand, but Ceratizit purchased KOMET, so we spent on a journey of building the brand recognition. We started in 2019 with 2,500 followers in LinkedIn, and today we have over 12,000. So
nice.
Our head of marketing, Angie Rojas, has done a fantastic job of pulling all the levers that we needed to be able to get the brand out there, have our DNA kind of cemented into the market so that people can understand who we are and what we do and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Angie and Summer, they're in the other room right now.
Yeah.
Just keeping tabs on how this whole conversation goes.
Right. I'm going to bust through the door soon.
So that's a good explanation for what led to, I guess, the promotion. So
Yeah.
how is it with going from the role you had to covering all these different markets now?
I
know it's not been long.
It's not been long, but I had kind of a staple of how I like to lead and drive things, and it's all about the people. I told the team this week when we were together in Schaumburg about that they're the most important asset that we have as an organization, and we must take care of them. And we built the culture in the U.S. by getting great people together, get them directed in the same direction. We were talking about the growth plan, and we wanted to double our business in 5 years, but the only way we could do that is people. So I hired all of the people that I could find that I trusted and built the teams internally. And in the cutting tool division, all that's been done. And now I'm going to do that for the other divisions in other countries. We're working with Mexico now to kind of really hone in on the people, hone in the culture, trying to get the right people that are going to make the right decisions to be able to drive the business. Brazil is fantastic. The people there are amazing. We've got a long-term leader there that's driving the culture in the right way, so it's really cemented. So there's not a lot of heavy lifting, I would say, but there's just kind of building synergies through all the divisions.
And talk about the Schaumburg facility. What is that main function there?
Today it's just a headquarters. We have disbanded all production there. We've moved it to other locations, whether it's on this side of the pond or over in Europe. Mainly just using it as a headquarters at the moment. There may be some changes down the road that we can announce, but as of today, it's just the acting headquarters.
But you have locations elsewhere in this country and
Yes.
different types of facilities. We'll get to that, but you're all over. You're worldwide.
Yes. Yeah, we have manufacturing in 80 different countries. We do business in all over the world. We have, I guess, our main Luxembourg is one of our big manufacturings for inserts and wear parts in that plant where some of the business started. We also have it in Reutte, which is one of the larger insert manufacturers in Germany, and Austria. So, yeah, we do have quite a bit of production around the world.
I was privileged to go on the trip
Yeah.
to Germany with Angie and Vanessa. Angie Rojas is the marketing
Yes.
czar for
Yes, she
Ceratizit.
is. Absolutely.
And we were out there a few months ago
Yeah.
learning a lot about the lowering the carbon footprint
Hmm.
and all the kind of up and coming technology that we'll talk about some of that later, the additive manufacturing
Yeah,
of the
absolutely.
tools. But, one of the things that came up during that trip was the supply chain. And, it was it got a lot of attention from the press that was there
Yeah.
about owning it from the beginning to the end of the
Hmm.
supply chain. And I'd like to find out from you because it seems to be something that you're very aware of
Hmm.
and pretty um, articulate about explaining. One of the first things I want to ask about that is, what does that mean to
Yeah.
own the supply chain from
Yeah.
beginning to end? Does that
I
mean you own your own mines?
Yes.
Okay.
So we basically own mine. We call it mine to market, and it really becomes unearthing the ore out of the ground, being able to then take it to a refining situation where it's down to the tungsten powder. Then you move on to like a rod or a unfinished um, blank, if you will, and then you go into a semi-finished state. You go to the final end user state where it's being used at a plant and manufacturing some sort of component. And then we've now taken it to another step, which is we then bring it back from a recycled standpoint, pull it back into our GTP plant in Towanda, Pennsylvania, and break it down again back into the components that we would need to start the process over. So we call it the circularity model, and it starts from the ground and it goes all the way back into through the process of making a finished good, selling it to a customer, bringing it back from the customer, and then starting the process again. So it's it's something that we feel that we differentiates us as a manufacturer and a supplier. We can own and kind of build the quality of all that steps along the way. So there's some consistency there. There's not a lot of risk as it relates to having lack of supplies, lack of raw materials, all those things. So it's very important for our success, for not only in the States but globally.
Globally, yeah. And, just a perspective, I guess. Before COVID, this didn't really exist, did it?
It did, but it was broken up into multiple companies. It wasn't under
One roof.
one roof. Yeah, you'd have another organization that was owning some of the process, and then we owned some of the process. But now it's basically all under one name and one umbrella.
I mean, and it can't understate the importance of this for customers of your tools. I mean,
Yes.
because if you're promising to be able to meet orders, I mean, you
Yeah.
have to be able to give with some confidence, say when something's going to be ready,
Yeah.
and without confidence in your supply chain, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very important part for us to be able to not only the consistency of the of availability, but the consistency of the material and the quality of the material, and what also we know as being really understanding the metal and the metallurgy part of it. We can build the powder like we want it, and we have all the R&D and 200 plus employees that are driving new innovations and all those things. And I know we'll talk about one soon, but the reality is that I think we can do better not only with the consistency but the quality and or the evolution or innovation part of the business. So it's having that in our grasp in our hands only gives us the advantage of being speed to market.
Again, I may have forgotten. Have a drink. I got so caught up in asking questions, but one of the things I was just going to say is you may have touched on it, but the sustainability,
Mm-hmm.
the, the recycling aspect of what that means.
Yeah.
When I was in Germany, I mean, they were talking about how I believe at one point they were almost 100% reliant on recycled. Um, not sure if it was carbide, whatever it was
Yeah,
exactly, but
tungsten carbide.
tungsten
Yeah.
carbide.
Yeah.
But it was just 100%. But it was just for a short period.
Yeah.
But 80% is the overriding stat that was coming out of there.
Yeah.
But even for a few months, it was 100% relying on
Oh, yeah.
recycled carbon. Is this something that you think most companies are going to want to try to emulate?
I think so. At some point, I think that the market's going to drive it because of the fact that we're trying to be better citizens to the earth and figure out what we need to do to make this the sustainable message that we have is not just in like thinking about short term. We're thinking about long term sustainability and doing the right things to be able to break down the carbon footprint that we have and our commitment is to be net zero by 2040. The emissions that we would continue to have, we would end up offsetting that with some sort of activity or actions. But I think to your point, it's probably not as apparent or as a topic that's first in mind in the U.S. I think it will be. It's very prominent in Europe, and I think that there's more and more global companies that are pushing the initiatives to come to the States because they're working in the market. Yeah. But it's becoming more and more apparent about just being a long-term good citizen to the earth and to the community, and then ultimately that means that we're doing the right things for our customers as well. So,
well, it was pretty impressive going out to Germany and seeing everything and learning about the commitment to preserve as much of this earth as you can for the future, and being able to recycle to that degree is amazing. And that's not just in Europe,
right?
Because you mentioned the location, Towanda.
Mm-hmm. Towanda, Pennsylvania.
That's where is it recycling or the mining? I'm not sure which.
That's basically where they take the raw material, whether it's recycled or normal ore, and then refine it to the fact of having tungsten carbide powder.
Oh, okay.
To be able to then create or sell to customers internally within our manufacturing. But that's basically the starting point of the entire process. So,
okay, where are the mines?
Where are the mines? I can't tell you the locations. They're all over, mainly in the western part of the world. But there's quite a few that we have some hands in and making sure that we can continue to utilize those on an ongoing fashion. So I personally don't know where the mines are. So
and I didn't expect an answer to that. But the whole idea that you own it from beginning to end, it's like that's a natural question.
Yeah.
To like you own the mines. I mean that's really. Do you need a question?
Well, yeah, I'd like to just ask Dan. Now, I know some people might have concerns about recycled carbide.
This is Alan Richter, by the way.
That's going to be the same quality as virgin.
Yep. Yeah, so what we do is we take it, and I've seen the process in Towanda, Pennsylvania, and they basically take it down to the raw materials. Anything that needs to be refined or discarded out of the makeup of that product, then we discard it. It goes back to the quality of as we pull it out of the ground, because of the process in which we use to refine it, and then it goes right back into finished products. So there's no difference in. You said it earlier about 100% recycled carbide that we used over a small period of time. No one knew the difference.
There's no degradation.
We had no quality complaints over that time frame. I think there's always a perception that there might be less quality because it's recycled or reused or whatever, but it's not the case. It's
and by the way, it's not like you were doing this in secret.
Right. Yeah. No.
So
it's pretty prominent in the industry too. People are utilizing recycled carbide. So we just happen to be owning the process.
Alan's going to be popping in here every now and then when he has a question. That he's the foundation of cutting tool engineering, and he likes to be in the background. But he's been around this business a lot longer than I have, and he's very good. And anyway, thanks, Alan. I want to toast you for this so far. We're going to get into a little bit about the end mill, the six flute thing, but let's do you want to finish that up there and we'll
Sure.
try a new bourbon?
Yeah, that's perfect.
What do you think?
We could do that.
I'm not sure I can, but but we have some extra bourbon here, some different bourbons. This happens to be Dan's favorite. Well, would you call it your favorite though?
Yeah,
mean-
I would. Yeah, that would be the go-to if I was out having a nice drink. I ended up would pick Woodford's every time.
So this is the Woodford Reserve, and I'm right in front of Dan's face on the one camera. But this is what we're talking about. There's barely any left, so there's just enough for Dan, but it's his favorite, so he gets to have it.
Yeah.
But I've had it before. I love Woodford Reserve. When we first started talking about doing this bourbon with the editor deal, I figured, why not? I mean, if it doesn't work, at least I get to drink bourbon.
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, and the other thing is we get to talk about metal cutting and the industry, and I'll learn a lot just by interviewing people.
Oh yeah.
But the guy who I bought the bourbon from today, a place over here in Arlington, it's just D&D Spirits. And they don't pay me anything. But he suggested a couple of different bourbons that he likes. I said, I like smooth.
Yeah.
But tell me what you like. He's like, oh, it's kind of like me. So this is another bourbon, Peerless, that he says is up and coming.
Oh wow.
And he said this is another one he really likes, this Wild Turkey, and it's a double barrel Wild Turkey. So if there's another one after this that you want to try, which I hope you do,
Yeah. Thank you.
we will give those both a shot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that those are different bourbons, and that's half the fun of doing this is just being able to share a bourbon with someone and get to know them and
Yeah.
let them talk about their company and their products. But also, I hope that we're sharing some good information about, giving people tips for why they can use different things,
Sure.
different tools, the new technology that's coming out. And so with that, let's go in the Optaline.
Yeah. Yeah.
About your end mills. It's a 6-foot end mill.
Yeah. Yeah. 6 foot for titanium and heat resistant alloys, and yeah.
Is that now? Is that rolled out officially yet?
Yeah, July 1st was the first rollout. We were building stock in Sacramento, which is one of our largest grinding manufacturing units. 110 grinders, probably the third largest in the U.S. We're really proud of that place, and they have 3 different coating vats, so they can do different coatings there. A little R&D facility, so really, really interesting place. They were basically the starting point of building out the process of R&D, samples. We then took all those samples to Europe and did an extensive test against our competition, and then also internally within our production units to see who had the best 6-flute.
What's the time span on all this?
We probably started a year ago. Scott Walrath, which is a guy that we hired from Duramill. Back in the day, he and his family ran that business, and we felt like that he could be a huge asset for us to be able to, take our end mill lines to the next level here in the States. So then he was instrumental in designing the 6-flute that we have, and the chip splitters and all the things that are important for us, whether it's the symmetrical flutes and variable pitches and all the things radius wise. It's probably one of our shining stars as it relates to product releases, because we've had some really good products in the last 5 years, but I think this is more of a game changer. And then this technology is just going to then be moved on to more and more families as it relates to end mills. So,
okay,
yeah,
this is going to be one of your highlights at IMTS. I know we'll talk about IMTS more, but this is a significant rollout.
It is. It is. It was probably I would say the first rollout of a U.S. made, designed, R&D'd, manufactured product and product family in my knowledge of Ceratizit. So we had a manufacturing place in Warren, Michigan, that was doing a lot of rods and those type things. But in this case, this is a finished product that we went to market as an end mill that was designed here, made here. So we're really proud for that to be the first. We we feel like that it's, as I said earlier, going to be a little bit of a game changer in the market because of the geometries that we use. Basically free cutting with the geometry that we have for the variable flutes and the chip splitters that we have in it, as well as the dragon skid technology coating. That's something that we feel like is a differentiator for us as well. So you take all those benefits and put them in one tool, and then ultimately you have and I guess you can't forget about the fact of the grade of the carbide, which is obviously made from our own powder and in our own manufacturing. So you get the powder from GTP, you get the rod from making the powder into a rod, and then the rod goes to a manufacturing facility to make the actual finished tool. You coat it there. You can own that entire process. So I think we got a winner, and we just we want to see it really grow in the market.
I'm just wondering if you can talk about, for anyone who might be listening who's at a shop, how is this going to help them, and what would this do for them differently?
Anybody that's milling heat resistant alloys, titaniums, something that it maybe work hardens and it's hard to cut, and you utilize the geometry of the cutting flutes to be able to thin the chip, break up the chip so it gets out of the way. It's less heat in the workpiece. Speeds are much faster. It's up to 60% tool life as it relates to other competitors. So there's a lot of advantages from cost manufacturing, because you're going to spend less money on less tools because the tool life is longer. You're going to get the I guess consistency of being able to manufacture, and it's predictable. You're not going to have these massive breaks and inconsistencies of the tool. So there's a lot of, I guess, what I would say, confidence that we would have and would pass on to our customers to be able to manufacture with a consistent tool.
All right, now this is just being kind of an Irish, funny guy, but so 5 flute used to be a big deal.
Yeah.
Now it's 6 flute. 4 flute used to be a big deal. So
Absolutely.
Is there still a place for all of these different tools?
Absolutely. Yeah, we still manufacture. One of our largest is 3 flute aluminum mill. It's an aluminum line. There's 4 flutes, 5 flutes. They all have their place for sure. In this case, I think it's more about the fact of the as I said, the consistency and the security of being able to manufacture some of these heat-resistant alloys, and the geometry that's built into this tool actually gives you that ability to do that. We have a lot of high-performance tools for variants. I mean, we have all the way up to 7, 8, 9 flute. You can go on up to larger flutes, or number of flutes, I should say, and they all have their own place in the market. But we had a gap. We had a missing number of flutes, and Scott was very instrumental in bringing it to us, and he knew that was something that would change our at least appearance or either attractiveness in the market. And Scott Walrath.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, the Duramill guy.
All right,
yeah.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, we're very fortunate that we're able to produce it. Yeah.
Alan's got another question.
I got another question here, because I know you mentioned about the variable flute and the asymmetrical helix, and why wouldn't that be the case for all appropriate round tools? I mean, why would that? When would that not be needed, or why would that not be done when making a tool to reduce that harmonic? To break up that harmonics and reduce that vibration.
Yeah, I think if you think about, and you said the magic word is the harmonics. In heat-resistant alloys, you have a different, I guess, set of variables that are in play that are different than whether you're cutting steel, aluminum, stainless, all those type things. So, building a tool that's specific for material groups that have a set harmonics that needs to be broken up by having that asymmetrical helix and the variable flute and things that are important to be able to have consistent cutting along variance depth of cut, different speeds and feeds. So it's more about the fact of having the set amount of teeth and the orientation of teeth as it relates to the workpiece material. And if you optimize that, which is the Optiline, that's the name of the. So if you're optimizing or optimizing with our tool, then all those variables are taken into place for the material itself. And you couldn't run that tool in a normal aluminum or steel or those type things and optimize it, because it's not built for it. It's built for the heat resistant alloys, it's the aerospaces, it's the power generation, all those things that are related to the very specific materials that it needs to cut.
I got you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're welcome.
Alan, you don't have to leave. If you want to just grab your drink and bring it
no,
over
no,
here.
I'm comfortable back here.
Like Alan is, I mean, that's just exactly one of the reasons why we like to have him around here to ask questions that occur to him that would not occur to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's got that background. The six flute Optiline. I mean, it's only been around since July, right?
Yeah, it's been in production for a long time, but released to the market in July 1st. We're going to heavily promote it during the and after the IMTS show. We'll have product on site. We'll have Scott on site. There's a lot of promotion that we've created with videos and things that we'll post on social media. So stay tuned to that. We're really proud. I think it's something that we can hang our hat on, and hopefully the customers enjoy it and we get some value out of it.
Yeah, and speaking of which, we'll share one of the short video clips from a shorter version of this episode that you can share on your social media channels.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So that you can spread the word about your bourbon with the editor.
Yeah, it's amazing. Thanks again for the invite. This is, I think, a really unique way to be able to have a conversation about the industry and our company, and we appreciate the opportunity to promote ourselves, and we certainly appreciate what you do for the industry as well, for your magazine and your followers.
Well, thank you. I'm all about making sure that this industry gets its due when it comes to being a viable option for a career.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, when I first got to Cutting to Engineering magazine in 2007, having come from the dental world, covering dentistry for like 20 years.
Yeah.
I didn't expect I would be so like drawn to the metal cutting aspect. I brought a video camera out to one of the first shops I did, a little pro turn place up here in Illinois, and it was just mesmerizing to watch that and be able to video that. And ever since then, it's all been about trying to like share what this industry offers for career paths for me. It's not that I have anything against college. You probably have a degree as well, right? You went to 4-year college like I did. But when you talk about the industry, my hope is that we can always provide some assistance to the industry to help with the workforce skills gap. There's such a shortage. I mean, it's driving automation, and that's great. Innovation, the mother invention. But it's because of there's a shortage in the.
They had to do it, right?
So they have to do it,
right?
And it's a good thing. But still, there's going to come a time when you need someone who's running that automation.
Yeah.
Automation needs to be run and managed, and at least my basic understanding of it.
Yeah.
So.
No, we're in the same boat, because we can see more and more, whether it's customers, they're getting leaner and leaner. The amount of talent that they have, it's hard to get people to get into industry. Unfortunately, people still think that it's a dirty, an old factory type of industry, and it could be the farthest from the truth. I mean, we have such innovation. I was at a manufacturer that's making rockets that are shooting people into space and using our tools to be able to like drill holes and do fasteners, and nothing but young people and excited about innovation and engineering. And so there's a lot of things I think that we have the responsibility to do, is to give that at least insight that there is opportunities and there is, a living and a career and all the things that are important for people that, maybe they haven't found themselves from coming out of college, and it could be a place for people to start careers. I've hired somebody recently that I said, look, you could go anywhere in this company. I mean, you could start from being a person in the mailroom to running the business. I mean, it's up to the person that how they want to drive their activities, and if they have the opportunity to persevere and do something, then they should try it. But this is I was thinking about this when you said what you said about trying to get people into the business. I love the fact that I see something different on a daily basis, and it intrigues me. And maybe like the spaceship I was talking about in LA, and we're talking about cars and EV, electrical vehicle components, and dental. I mean, we do a lot of medical devices and hip replacements, and there's so many activities in different types of segments that, I mean, it's so interesting, and you get the juices flowing even after 30 years about like, wow, I didn't even know this existed. So I think we just need to build that enthusiasm about what's here and what you can do, and it's limitless, really. So
Honestly, there's an aspect of this that when you learn how there's a show called How It's Made.
Yeah.
You've seen it.
Many times.
I mean, that what a blueprint for all the video, the podcasts and everything out there on manufacturing. I mean, that's the epitome of why we should all be interested in this, because when it comes right down to it, it takes people now, anyone with any familiarity with computers, and because it's all driven by computers these days. I wanted to be a carpenter when I was going through high school.
Yeah.
I took a woodshop class, and teacher didn't think so. And my dad was a carpenter, and he said no.
So you had two no's.
I love the idea of being a hands-on kind of guy, but this is, if you aren't sure what you want to do, it's certainly a career path that it's not just a career. It could end up being a passion that you start without a college education.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean at some point you don't want to continue and go get a college education.
Absolutely.
And whoever you end up working for in this industry, they are likely to be pushing you to go ahead, get that engineering degree or whatever else might be related, and pursue that. And please come back to us and stay with us. And I mean, that's just the sort of a approach that I know I would have considered had it been around when I was going through high school. And of course, I got attracted to journalism, and you know what a future there is in that.
You've been around a while, so you've done pretty well. So.
I'm fine, and I love journalism, and it's got a great place. But I love this industry because it's not really about controversy. It is all about, hey, how can we get better at machining and get more productive and all the rest of it. So that's why the 6 fluid, that's why all this is kind of fun. I want to talk about the Maximil 211 DC. This is important because it's a 3D, the coolant channels, and it is an innovation. And Alan, there are other companies doing something similar, and this is going to become a bigger story, I think. So talk about the introduction of that tool and what it took to get to this point.
Yeah, I think back to the 200 people that we have in our R&D team, and the ability to spend and conquer and think and dream and you name it, that it could be or should be. So you start with a concept, and you know that there's a need or an issue that we have to solve, or a problem we may have to solve, and this was one of them, especially from the coolant standpoint, because especially in heat-resistant alloys, whether you're manufacturing aerospace parts. I think
take another drink.
I think my bourbon's hitting me now. Aerospace parts, or you're working with titanium or any of those heat-resistant alloys. It becomes a situation where coolant is important, right? So The more that you can get to the cutting edge and you can move that chip out of the way, that's where you start to get the magic. And so these coolant channels, if you were trying to EDM them or machine them into the part, you could never get them to the point where they directly hit the cutting edge. So I talked about like 50 to 60% at the end mill. This mill is the same, and as it relates to tool life, because of you're not wearing that insert's edge out by that beating and hot and cold, hot and cold, hot and cold of coolant and quenching. That it's consistently hitting the edge of the insert, so you're not having that fluctuation of heat.
Yeah.
And then ultimately the insert can wear predictable and consistently, so you're not worrying about catastrophic failure. You're not worried about breakage. You're not tearing things up and scrapping $50,000 parts. You're only worried about just making sure you index an insert. So yeah, it's the technology of the 3D printing. I think that's the next evolution. Not high production, I would say, but more specialized production, where you can really design the tools to be able to have the coolant come out at the right places, so that you get the cooling or the quenching side of the coolant to be able to help the tool life for sure.
The maximum.
Yeah, there's seriations on the insert itself that match the pocket, and then that coolant comes directly right by the pocket of the cutting edge of the pocket, and then you can flip the insert, be able to have multiple edges. But I like
Right here you can see it.
This is a very good depiction of where that coolant comes through the tool and then out to the edges of the inserts. And there are other companies that have it, but we feel like we've perfected the coolant channels, and then ultimately seeing the success or performance of the tool. So
now that's really, to me, that's capitalizing on additive manufacturing
Yeah.
in a way that I wouldn't have expected myself. But obviously, it's being used in the best way possible. I mean,
Yeah.
you're trying to, because how could you do that without additive?
Otherwise, yeah, you couldn't. There's no way you could do that. And that's the innovation, I think. And having I don't want to call them the mad scientists, but the R&D guys that are dreaming up things that probably shouldn't or couldn't be made, and now we're making them because we have the ability to 3D print them, and it's only going to get bigger and better. These materials are like 48 to 49 Rockwell. It's consistently throughout the entire part, versus if you have case hardened material, it's only on the surface that's hardened, so the pockets aren't maybe it's as secure when it gets into high heat. So you have the consistency of the product itself, and then with the performance and the accessibility of having that coolant come out to the actual cutting edge is extremely important. So I think it's only going to get better. We're going to see all kinds of types of innovation with 3D printing and additive manufacturing. So stay tuned for sure.
Well, let's talk about a couple more things. I know we already talked about the different markets that you're in charge of, but Alan's got a connection to Brazil.
Well, yeah, I would want to say I'm married to a Brazilian, and I've been down there many times. But this year I was down for a major trade show in April in Sao Paulo. And I mean, what's your thoughts on the Brazilian market? Is it something that's growing? Is it a main area of interest? I know there are quite a number of cutting tool companies that I saw down there on exhibiting, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, we have quite a bit of market share in the round tools, mainly the rod side of the business, because of the raw material and semi-finished goods. We have a large presence there because of people buying and then making their product through our rod side of it. The cutting tools are, as in the U.S., very little market share, but growing in popularity. But I truly believe that the Brazilian market is very stable. There's some economy and things going on with politics that are always fluctuating, but I can see it being a stable market for people to want to manufacture there. And it's a presence that we want to have and will continue to have. We'll continue to invest in the people, not only in Brazil, but Argentina, Chile, all those South American countries. But I think the automotive market is key for manufacturing there.
Okay.
Aerospace, there's a large manufacturing of frame and aerospace components there. Bombardier, and yeah, there's quite a few aircraft manufacturers there as well. So I mean, it's there for the long term, and we're continuing to invest. We got a new facility there from a headquarters in Brazil. We're continuing to add people to our team. So there's a lot of activity. I think it's, along with Mexico, Mexico's more of like a transplant of U.S. companies going into Mexico because of cost and those type things, which obviously we want to follow that as well. But Brazil, for me, it's been more of a consistent, easy, not too much up and down market. So I think it's there to stay, and we're just going to continue to invest.
What about Canada, eh?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to do that.
Yeah, we have a group team, our team of people up there that are doing a great job. It's a small market for us. Same thing. Ceratizit wasn't very well known in Canada. KOMET had some business, so we kind of monopolized on the KOMET side, but we're going to continue to invest there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to give you a chance to talk about what's going on at IMTS, but are you still good?
I'm still good. Yeah,
Oh.
thank you.
I'm pushing because I want to try this Peerless stuff.
Well, we can try it for sure. Yeah, we went over all of our booths this week. We had our pre-show training. We had all of our team that's going to participate in all those activities this week.
Oh, let me just make sure if anyone is unaware out there who might be listening, IMTS 2024 is the International Manufacturing Technology Show that's taking place September 9th through the 14th at McCormick Place in Chicago. It's every 2 years, and this is the even year that it takes place this September. It's less than a month from now, and Ceratizit's going to have a booth there, and I just want to give Dan a chance to talk about what's going on at their booth. So this is one of the things.
Yeah, so we have a little bit of a draw with a car. We have a partnership and relationship with VAC Motorsports up in the Philadelphia market, and he has been a partner not only from a customer standpoint for buying our tools, but also helping us innovate and do some R&D for what we, the 6 flute was a prime example. He was instrumental in testing and proving out some of the needs that we would have for configuring of the helixes or the radiuses or any of those type things. So, but he is going to donate his car for the week. It's going to be wrapped. And he's got a race team.
So this is a shop, by the way, in Philly, right?
It's a shop in Philly. He's VAC Motorsports. He's predominantly manufactures aftermarket parts for BMWs, whether it's race teams or private citizens that need to upgrade and upfit their BMWs. So Tony Shalom, yes,
is the president of that company, but
that's correct. Yeah, so he was gracious enough to work with us on getting the car in the booth. So that's one of the things that the people can come and see and check out, and it's there for multiple reasons because we are instrumental in manufacturing or helping him manufacture the motor parts. The block being specific. It starts out as a block of billet, aluminum billet, and then continuing to whittle away to the point where it's, it's an actual engine block that we utilize, or he utilizes in his car and then customers and clients' cars. So there's a good connection not only with Mazak and Mazak not substitutes, but gives him the accessibility to be able to manufacture with his in his shop, Mazak, Grove, and other machine tool manufacturers, and then we are the tooling partner of him in those machines. So we'll have parts of his that are being machined in the Mazak booth. We have parts that are being utilized in other machine tool manufacturers' booth as well. So there's a continuity between the fact of why he's in the booth and what we do for him, and then how we partner with other vendors as well.
Tony's constantly striving for progress, faster way to do something, easier, better products. And this has been him since day one, from the first time that I've met him. And he just continuously is making changes to do that.
He's got other engagements that he has to do, but a couple hours a day, he'll be at our booth. I know we're having our press event on Tuesday morning. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe that's
and
one
that's for you guys to come and visit.
Oh, yeah.
but
So
it-
this
So a
is a
few
great
years
little
back-
promo that you've got
It
going
is.
on right
VAC
now.
is located-
and it's out there. So this has been a long-term relationship for you guys.
yeah, very long.
Oh man, you got the Rocky statue in there.
Yeah, the Rocky statue. And he has such passion for the fact of what he does for not only himself, for the race team, but his clients and customers. So it's just a good fit. Very genuine guy. Very humble in the fact that started from scratch and built and doubled in size and started to continue to grow. And we've been there along the way, and it's just a nice.
And they have their own team,
own team.
their own race team.
Yep, absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm out of bourbon, and I think I'm gonna open one more here.
All right.
Okay. Let's open one more to
Whatever you want
to do our
open.
conclusion. Let's go with the Peerless.
Yeah.
I'm really kind of curious.
Yeah, sure.
And
Belly
Alan,
up to the bar
Alan,
here.
get in here. Just so everyone knows that it's like, lots of different ways to drink bourbon. And my preference is any way that you can go ahead and enjoy.
Cheers.
Cheers to
Thanks.
Dan.
Thank you.
Alan, thank you for joining me here today. But we'll close out in a second, but let's enjoy another sip here.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow.
Wow, that is different.
That's interesting.
That really is different.
Yeah. That's a lot different than.
So let's what does it say on the bottle? This is called Peerless.
Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Ooh, this is 54.75%.
It's 100 proof.
109.5 proof.
They're
Ooh, that's
okay, more than
batch.
100. Okay.
It's
Batch strength. Oh, yeah.
Wow, you can really
a
taste the
little hot.
barrel.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. It's got great flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my, that's
Mhm.
nice.
Your buddy didn't steer you wrong.
The guy who owns the D&D Spirits, the liquor store over there, he's like, this guy is great. I mean, anyone in Arlington Heights, Wheeling, Buffalo Grove area, check this place out.
Yeah, I
because
need
he's
to
got
check that
everything,
place
and he's
out.
a great guy.
Absolutely.
But he suggested this, and he was not wrong.
Yeah, it was amazing. I'm going to try it when I get home. It's a
And
good flavor.
And with that, unless there's something else you want to add to this whole conversation.
No, just thank you. Giving us the opportunity. We're a small, I guess, in mind share, not in size, but in mind share in the U.S. And we're trying to be one of the players, and we continue to grow and get the right people and do the things that are important to, satisfy the customers and do what's right for the industry, what's right for the community. So we certainly appreciate the opportunity to get our name out there. And thanks again. It was a great time. I really enjoyed it. This is we should do interviews like this all the time.
I think bourbon doesn't hurt, does
No,
it?
bourbon does not hurt. Thank you. Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.
And with
Thank
that,
you.
we are good.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Dan.
thank
Close
you.
out. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Thank you.